Sweet.
Alright, so I just pressed record. Oh my God. So my voice is all screwed up because I got back from Toronto yesterday. But I already had my sinus drip and sore throat and all that stuff before even going in there. So,
Are
yeah,
you sure
I
it's not from
mean,
all the screaming?
that helped screw things up more, but totally worth it. Um, so yeah, Hamad was saying that between the three of us, or at least between me and Hamad, we've attended three different shows: New Jersey, San Jose, and Toronto. That, that's some Junooni dedication, man.
Hey, what
So,
else? What else would you expect?
so you went into New Jersey, saw them after 14 years. What was your first initial feeling and stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how long it has been. I think the last time that I did see them was, and I was reflecting on this because sometimes you just forget, was 2004 in Karachi, at Bahria Auditorium. And I think in the vlog, by the way, that you did a quick interview, Ali Bhai, there was someone who actually said that that was a show that they went to. And I sort of jumped out of my seat. I was like, wow, that person was there that night. But yeah,
Right.
it's basically what been essentially 15 years since I've seen them. To be honest, it was kind of unreal when they first sort of took the stage, and I saw them in New Jersey. And also I have to say I wasn't really mentally prepared because New Jersey just sort of happened out of, as we've talked about, sort of out of nowhere for me. So I wasn't kind of fully mentally processing it.
Yeah.
But I, for a long time, to be honest, I just sort of stood there watching Salman Ahmed just shred. And I think
Yeah.
just remember the feeling when I did that for the first time. I think for the first time I saw them in, I think, 2000 or something in Karachi as well. Um, and then of course I completely lost it. But so many emotions, so many memories. I think for a lot of us, rushing back, and I knew at New Jersey that I was going to see them again in San Jose. Allah willing. But at the San Jose show is really when it dawned on me that this may be the last time that I see them, and I didn't quite show it. You were there with me, but I
Right.
was definitely emotional at times about that fact.
So, and obviously, they're coming back in a totally different with a totally different look, but the songs kind of sounded the same, just as good as ever, but a lot more polished and crisp.
Can I just say,
Um,
can I just say a quick shout out to your dedication and the fact that your voice is clearly reflecting your dedication. So not only did you lose your voice at the San Jose show, but then you traveled to Toronto to be
right.
with your like childhood friend, or no, maybe high
Yes.
school friend, to
Yes.
share that moment. And I mean, tell me like how important is that? Because I can tell you, I can talk about this later at length, but watching that show with you all, by the way, we don't get too soft on this show, right? But
Mm.
that was quite honestly um, one of the best moments in, when I look back in life, sharing that with you, because there are very few people who I think you can really share a deep love for, even just Pakistani rock, but particularly Junoon. And I was mentioning this to someone else, is that of course we're all Junoonis there, but being able to like sort of look at you and know that you are someone, or Omer is someone who I can truly just know that you will know the lyrics and not feel embarrassed that like I turn to you and I know all the lyrics and you don't.
The
Having that sort of
lyrics,
bond is
the
really
guitar licks,
natural.
and all the solos are memorized by all of us, I think. But I mean, one thing that really stood out to me, are a couple of things, or one thing at least, that it was definitely special, like going with this group of people that we were with, like yourself, Omer, and Zawar Jaffrey and Salman Jaffrey as well. I was really hoping we can get involved. We can have them talk about this too. But the fact that our little group here, we actually play these songs. We jam on these songs when we play at perform at parties or whatever, or any gathering. We always start off with a Junoon song, or something similar. So for me, like, at least looking at Zawar, who've actually played so many of these Junoon songs with us over the years, and then just never really seen them play live. So and I look at all the passion in his eyes, and he's doing the Junoonism the way it should be done, like the way we used to do it, like constantly being on his feet, never sitting down, just completely losing it. Um, and this is somebody who's watching them for the first time. So that was like I was really that was refreshing to see for me.
I mean, there's really no other way to enjoy a Junoon show, If you're gonna sit down, and enjoy, you need to be up in the bleachers where you can enjoy it sitting down.
Well, I know you're gonna get into why there was chairs on the floor and
Oh
whatnot, but
God.
don't get into that right now. First, talk about your like first impression and what you waited for these 14 years and what you got out of it.
Yeah, when was
You
the
know,
last time that you saw them live? Am I
I,
right?
I think it was, what was it, the USC
must
or
have been
the,
'05 in Coliseum.
oh, was that their
Right,
last one in
05.
LA? No,
Yeah,
weren't they at the Henry Fonda Theater after that, the Music Box
no,
Theater?
those were before.
Those were before. Okay, yeah, then it was the Coliseum. Yeah, that was the last one, and that was actually a surprise. I don't even remember if I knew that they were going to be performing that day. I just showed up to Pakistan Day, and there they were. So that was, and the setup, everything was pretty awesome. I think it was one of their best LA shows that they've ever done. Open air, LA Coliseum, classic, iconic arena.
So what did
So
you get out of this one?
this one, I mean, this was the long-awaited return. When I heard that Karachi was happening, I was really praying that this turns into a world tour, because the setup that they had, like you mentioned earlier, that they're just more polished, right? So initially, it just was this three-piece band with an additional percussionist, two percussionist, drummer, and the tabla dhol person. But the main were the three guys, and that's all you had on stage. You had stage lights, and you had the 5 members on the stage just playing. And now these guys come with these huge visuals, big screens in the back, bigger stage, backup singers, rhythm guitarist, violinist, and they're just adding all these elements that just made their live performance go from a 10 to an 11, right? And this was completely unexpected. And once I saw that this is what they were doing in Karachi, I was just praying that they would be able to travel with this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
setup, and they did, and which was amazing. Even if they came all by themselves, that would have been great enough. But then they brought this whole stage with them, and that was mind blowing to be able to
And
witness
and
that.
and as you've mentioned in previous episodes, truly well deserved for and a long time coming for a band like Junoon.
Absolutely. It really does polish up their sound, and it takes it to another level. I mean, stuff that you're able to do in the studio and to bring it onto the stage and make it even better. That's what they were able to achieve on this tour.
Yeah, I say, I do want to say that compared to New Jersey, San Jose sound, and I think it had a lot to do with the fact that the venue was a proper sort of like auditorium type of venue with sort of proper acoustics.
Right, not a sports arena like a lot
Yeah,
of
New
these were
Jersey
sports
was like a
arenas.
hockey rink, which I immediately knew as soon as I found out about the venue that this was not going to be great. But I just want to give a shout out, I think, to Junoonis in general, but also like Hamari Qawm for the fact that like people just like don't care about the sound. I mean, it's just I mean, in New Jersey, the sound was trash. I have to be very honest, and that's not the band's fault. Obviously, that's just whatever. Um, and yet people were just rocking out, and the mosh pit was moshing, like it should have, and it was spectacular. And I think all of us sort of felt like it was or knew that it was a historic moment that we were sharing.
And just to going back to the way they're doing their show on the stage, if I can touch upon the set list, or at least the first song that they start off with, that
Yarbin and
rendition.
San Jose.
Oh, was it? Yeah, no, it was not Yarbin and
I
San Jose. They
mean,
started.
Azadi, and I think they got into Yarbin right
Yeah,
after.
so Azadi is the one I'm talking about. That when
Okay.
they come in with the violin and guitar just shredding on the guitar, and the violin keeping pace, and the drums going crazy, and then it all just turns into, and so you don't know what's happening until the first two chords hit, and you're like, I know this, right? Any
Right.
true Junooni would know what these two chords are leading to, and it's the Azadi song, and it just that's when you go crazy. It just,
Yep.
and it's
Absolutely.
nonstop
Well, I
on
mean,
your.
speaking of going crazy, I do have to say, and if anyone went to the San Jose show, they might remember this specifically. But I'm sure that every show has its own dynamic. And I'm not saying that we were the best, out of the entire crowd. But we were pretty much the best out of the entire crowd. So,
Bro,
I think we were.
anyway, you can speak to the fact that you actually confirmed that with Sherjan afterwards. But I just want to say that even the energy, I think, from the start, right? I actually did not know this, but I think Omer pointed this out later on, is that they always start with, Junoon se aur ishq se milti hai azadi, and so they start with that song, and actually many of us broke out into that song as soon as we sort of sat down and the opening act had
oh
taken.
yeah, the crowd was
No,
chanting
no,
and
no,
singing
no.
that song.
And then
You
the
guys went
entire
crazy,
crowd
man.
actually started singing along to that, right? And that, I think, set the entire tempo. And if I may say so, again, I have a comparative perspective. Ali Bhai, I'd be curious to hear how Toronto compared to San Jose. And again, I'm not biased about California being my home state, but I have to say that compared to New Jersey, I felt like the band really enjoyed San Jose, and just enjoyed the vibe, the energy, the sound.
Oh, there's proof of that, man. You don't even have to feel that. There's definite proof of that. Towards the end of the show, you can tell on the sidelines, the organizers were asking the band to come off the stage because they had, the venue needed to close and whatnot.
Right.
And they just kept going back and playing more and more songs. I think they played 5 or 6 songs. And then they ended the show, right, with the Kamitarana and everything. And then still, Salman was like, you know what? One more song.
Yep,
And he busts out Sakinawa and everybody's just going crazy. It was
So before we actually get to this, I want to ask you, Ali Bhai, about Sherjan, and the conversations that you had afterwards in your vlog as well. But I mean, a lot of people have seen the vlog. I witnessed, you at a Junoon concert for the first time, and we talked about this. I have been, jamming out to Junoon, or just like in general, kind of, fanboying over them together collectively for the past 15, 16 years that I've known you.
Right.
What were your thoughts? What were your emotions? What was it like to see them after such a long time? What did it symbolize for you? What emotions did you feel in particular songs? I know you felt them in particular songs. So walk us through what you were feeling.
It was
Tell
heavy.
us from beforehand. I mean, you took a whole road trip up. I mean, I know some of us flew up, and you took a whole road trip up. What were your, like? I mean, पेट में चूहे दौड़ रहे थे, क्या हो रहा था?
I mean, that's why I kind of did the vlog to, kind of chronicle how the road trip was going and everything. We were having fun. My wife was having fun. Kids were having fun and all that stuff. So the road trip was, it was good. But I wasn't as anxious as I thought I would be. But I will tell you this though, there's this one feeling that I got as soon as the show started, right? That I did not, that I had forgotten about, that I used to get in the shows before. And that feeling was, let me see how to best describe it. एक जुनून का एक जो उस जमाने में जब आया था ना जुनून, right? So you know what kind of music was common and mainstream, and how Junoon kind of just was a separate thing, totally different from everything else, right? But it wasn't just the fact that they were different, but it was, for me at least, it was my outlet, because I hated the other type of music so much, right? All that Bhangra, pop Bhangra, and these Bollywood remix DJs and all that stuff. Club music, basically, right? And I definitely hated Bollywood, so जहाँ भी जाओ तो कोई ना कोई वो के ये मेरा दिल प्यार का दीवाना.
By the way,
junk, right?
that statement may or may not have some nationalist undertones, but that's a separate
You know
topic.
what? It did in that era, but not so much anymore.
Well, for me it does, for the record, but go ahead.
So I mean, so the fact that so I had vital signs, right? But vital signs were, their image was, the image of good guys, unthreatening, whatnot. Nobody really cared about their darker songs and whatnot, right? So it wasn't good enough to kind of give that and I'm gonna emphasize that, the gift that FU to what that status quo was, right?
Right.
So I go in to Junoon show first time, and I see what's happening, and that was my way of giving that FU to that status quo in music, right? So now I get,
or even just like, I think the kind of the surrounding, Desi culture around you, perhaps.
right, especially the concert going culture, right? Where we talked about this in our, I guess, the reunion episode, where there was a pickup scene, cars and flashes and whatnot. Nobody really cared for the artist or the music. So Junoon was the first time where actually we go in caring about the music, and not just that, you have to let yourself go because your whole feeling is that you want to just flick everybody off, right? So that was I don't know how other Junoonis, if they felt the same way or not. That was definitely me. And this time around, that same feeling came back, but in a different context. Because now, I'm much older. Um, I I'm what's considered a rat because of the rat race. That is like the core purpose of my life, right? So, I start my day, like tomorrow's Monday. I'm gonna start my day with, the 9 to 5, how to make that next buck, uh, how to get my promotion for more money, 401ks, this and that. So, the place where the soul goes to die, basically, right? That's my word right now. That's what I am right now. I'm a rat in the rat race. So I immediately walking into that show in San Jose and seeing you guys and seeing the crowd and seeing you guys start singing in the top of your lungs before the show even started, along with the clips they were playing of Azadi song and whatever song, right? So I got that feeling back. So to the rat race world that I belong to, that show was a big FU that I was giving to that world. So, that's why I had to let myself go, completely. It didn't
And like
matter if I'm losing my
let go
voice or
you
being
did.
stoned for the next week.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. So,
No, let go you did. And I mean, as you're saying that, I myself am getting getting that feeling back, and also, reflecting and thinking about Junoon's significance. And again, Junoon is one of, many bands that I have to say that has influenced me. And we've discussed this before, so I don't want to repeat a lot of things that our audiences have heard, but I do want to say that I think Junoon was one of those bands where, as someone who, primarily was raised in this country, although I like to say that partly I was raised in Karachi, um, that it really seamlessly brought together so many different parts of my identity that I always felt, or at least I didn't feel that they were mutually exclusive, but I was told that they're mutually exclusive, or I was told that they don't meld together. And so
right,
when it came to, rock music, when it came to my love for Pakistan, or my love for Pakistani culture or Pakistani heritage through its poetry and its adab and its literature, or even just like, the politics of that country, um,
right.
it's a surreal feeling to be able to have that encapsulated into one expression. And I think that that's why there is so much emotion around that band. And I can tell you, I know a lot of artists, right? I've listened to a lot of artists throughout my life, and Zawad knows this. I mean, Zawad and I go to concerts together quite often, and he will probably be the first one to tell you that Hamad has never really like been able to lip sync like any other like artist songs as much as he can Junoon, and he was witness to that night because
Mm,
they just mean something to me, right?
right.
So
Mm.
it's on a different level.
But
Um,
for me in Toronto, what was special is
yeah.
obviously I went there with my childhood friend. And this was a guy that the first Junoon show that we attended together. It was a group of 4 or 5 of us, and me and him were there. And I remember that when the show started, it was the first experience. So we're kind of taking it in initially, and then people just song by song, people were getting excited, running towards the stage. So me and him were kind of pulling back a little bit. लेकिन जैसे ही वो शुरू हुआ ना हुसन वालों, so my buddy goes, "यार इस पे तो आ जाओ." And we just sprinted towards the stage, just like me and him, like bam. तो उसको मैंने फिर बताया कि I reminded him of that event too, and he was like, "Yeah, it was a good day." So it was really special being with him. And this Toronto crowd was pretty good. It was um, one thing I didn't like going, I mean, one thing I don't like in general, and then I know Umair wants to talk about this a little bit too, that people were sitting down. In our section, we were sort of in that balcony area. I wasn't on the general floor in Toronto, but in that balcony area, people were in our section where a lot of them were just sitting down throughout the show. I don't like to see that in a Junoon show, but the fact that there was actually chairs in the general area, I know that's something that you guys talked about and you guys criticized that.
Yeah, every concert that I've been to, and I'm talking about like the Western American concerts. I go to a couple every year, and I have not ever seen the crowd being seated for the headliner. It just doesn't happen.
Well,
Even
not
if
just
you're,
that. You went to Junoon.
and then Junoon's a
That's like
different thing altogether. Yeah,
constantly.
it's a different story. I mean, Junoon is not supposed to be enjoyed sitting down. They don't have those type of songs. I
But we
mean,
haven't. I mean, like I said, the three concerts I just named, we were standing. That was the standing area concerts, right? House of Blues, Henry Fonda, and the Coliseum.
right? They had general floor admission and no seats on the floor. But something has changed. I don't want to get into it now because it'll take hours and hours to dissect this issue. But putting chairs and selling VIP tickets and VVIP tickets all the way up at the front of the stage. There's a lot to be said, a lot to be dissected here, and maybe we can talk about it or write about it and publish it. But that's something that needs to be discussed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think in general, look, obviously there's going to be different types of concert goers, but I think there is a way to probably set that up in a way that it's more equitable, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, across the different types of fans that you have and the different types of experiences. And I think, frankly, I don't know them personally. I don't talk to Ali Bhai or Salman Bhai or Brian like every day, but I would suspect that they like that sort of setup too, because I think what I can tell you is that at the New Jersey show, so in San Jose we had ushers kind of swarming all around us and really sort of policing our behavior quite a bit. But which I was on like 2 strikes and ready to get thrown out of there pretty soon. But so that tells you what I was up to. But in New Jersey, it really wasn't that much of a problem. And we were, again, I mean, it's not like I was like itni dandi mara tha ki main balcony se niche aa gaya tha. We did have floor seats, but I was still in the sort of mosh pit section, came up to the front. And what I can tell you is that Salman Ahmed and Ali Azmat quite often would come at the edge of the stage and come specifically to that area that was standing on both corners in the aisles. And I mean, would they come to the area where all the fans were sort of sitting, had just bought their VVIP tickets? No, I mean, not quite the same, right? So again, not taking anything away from those fans, but I think there's a way to really set that up. And I wish they had considered it. But I do want to shift over to another topic that I think we want to talk about. And Umer Pai had mentioned this, but I don't know. Did it? So obviously Junoon is a live I mean, they're live performers. They're amazing performers live. But they're one of the bands who, both in the studio and outside of it, they're amazing. But I mean, what were the thoughts around the fact that, look, this band is not in its prime anymore. These artists are not in their prime anymore. Ali Azmat ki आवाज के बारे में हम वैसे भी बहुत बात कर चुके हैं already. But man, it's still there, right? It's still there, and
well, I would
I
say
will say
they
also,
crushed everybody else. I think.
right, and I will also
Like
say
whoever
that
is in their prime right now can just go home, I guess.
yeah, and obviously, and I'm sure they watch them and they pay their respects, right? Saying, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that they are the original legends along with Battle Signs. But one thing I want to note is that everything was live and everything was superb. And Salman Ahmed has still got it. So many times I yelled out. I think these were the moments where I lost my voice, where I would just say, "Get him, Salman, get him!" Like that's what I was yelling, because every time he would start shredding, it was just so really magical. And of course, Brian with his licks, and so many times, they would sort of give him space to be able to just kind of do his thing and be at the forefront. They still got it, man. And one thing that I've noticed, and I will admit, I don't think I'm as mature of a listener as you two are, but despite the fact that they had a whole sort of ensemble, I will say that we're talking about a band with just one guitarist, one bassist, and one singer, right? I mean, and the percussions, no doubt, are really heavy, and they often sort of bring a beautiful mix. Of course, they have tabla and they have percussions, but that just is a testament to this band, right? Is that just one guitarist, one bassist, and one singer? That's really
and actually, while we're on the topic of musicians, the newest member of the core, band members, Taylor Sampson, the drummer, right? I just want to say what a what a fresh breath of air he is
as a drummer.
no, because I remember
and he's so young too.
the last time I watched him, and Jay DeTamo, I think was the previous drummer's name that we used to tour with them. Taylor is able. Yeah, Jay used to play in a way where he used to kind of sometimes outshine the music, and have the light on him. But Taylor's playing in a way where he plays with the band, not on top of the band.
Yeah.
So I want to say he's a great fit, and I'm glad he joined.
Yeah, that's a whole, there's a whole thing in music where, you can't have a musician that just kind of does his own thing and doesn't flow with the, and then I mean, in collectives, like a band, where you can have artists that are like kind of appear separate from the band. There's Junaid Shade was kind of definitely separate from the other lighter signs, whereas Ali Azmat is, he is, whenever you talk about Junoon, you talk about the three of them. Vital Signs ka ye tha कि you only talk about Junaid Jamshed. And there's been other like जैसे Shafqat था उसमें Fusion में. Shafqat was his own man, and then there was the guys from Fusion. So
Yeah,
when they
that's the
got the
thing.
new guy, Khurram,
I think to your point, like Vital Signs, for example, and even Fusion, most people cannot name individual band members for those bands.
right?
Like only true fans that know the band and read the CD and cassette inlets know who the Shahi and
Only in
Royale and
Junoon, all three of them are as prominent as each other,
exactly. Yes, exactly.
as prolific. So yes, I mean, I definitely had some amazing things, even afterwards, that I want to share. First amazing thing that did not happen to me, but it happened to my wife. Um, so she was walking in the hallway with my kids, and one of our heroes, Momo, is just randomly walking around like it ain't no thing. So she goes up to him and she goes, "Oh my God!" He doesn't respond, and then she again, with a little bit more, emphasis, she goes, "Oh my God!" And then he cracks a smile. Then she reminds him of when she had approached him online for him to send me a happy birthday message a couple of years ago. So he's like, "Oh yeah, okay." So and then he let her take a picture with her and my kids. So that was really nice. Now I wasn't there on that time because I'm not going to give too much details on how this happened, but somehow I managed to sneak in to the VIP area where a quote unquote meet and greet was happening. Um, I got in a line. So now the way they were doing this is that there was a line outside in the hall, and they were letting in 5 people at a time into the small room. And once I got in there, I see that Salman and Brian are standing in front of this backdrop, and people in the line are one by one, as groups. They're getting their pictures taken on their own, cell phones and stuff, right? And there's 2 people that are coordinating. And they were both part of the organization team, the local organization team. And they were actually, and I do want to mention this. They were being really harsh with people. Um, at one point, I saw a lady who had taken her picture with the group, and then she wanted another one just by herself. And one of the organizers actually yelled at her that no, only one picture. And then she walked away disappointed. And then I thought that these are people that actually paid $1,000 for the VIP ticket, and they were just getting that one picture, and they were kind of rushed out of that room without having to talk to the artists. So yeah, that was something that kind of stood out to me. I noted that. But anyway, when it was my turn, Zawar was with me. He stood next to Salman. I stood next to Brian. And then I told Brian that, hey, I'm the guy I'm that annoying guy who sends you text messages. So he's like, yeah, he remembered it. And he's like, oh, that's awesome, right? Then
Yeah, he did.
grabs his cell phone and takes a picture of me and him on his cell phone.
And you got that picture.
I
You
got
have that
that
picture now.
picture. I texted him, asked for it. He sent it to me. And then his, I guess his girlfriend, Annie Stark, who's actually, a very avid listener of our show. And, we should actually throw a shout out to her because she's really sweet and, really appreciate that she's listening to our program. And so she messaged us on our Facebook page and also tried to send me a copy of that picture too. So that was really cool. And then later, Samina Ahmed was there, and then I talked to her briefly as well, and she's always as sweet as ever. So, and then just a couple of seconds afterward, I exited off the other door and then not allowed back in, and that was it. Then we basically went home from there.
And by the way, I will say that once I did get home, I had quite a bit of withdrawal for a little bit, and missed you all, but also missed just the fact that oh wow, I just saw Junoon twice in a week.
By the way, I want to add that after having traveled all day to get to the show, after a work day and then traveling and then getting there to the venue, tired, and then entire show, maybe 2.5 hours on our feet, jumping up and down, losing our voices, just going crazy. You'd think you would get back to your bed and fall asleep right away. I was awake until 2 a.m. I could not fall asleep, man. The energy just
100%.
reverberated. It was just flowing through me. Just, I know I should be asleep. I had to wake up the next morning like 4 hours and hit the road to drive back home. 6, 7, 8 hours. But I'm just laying there.
And then let me guess what you listened to on that 6-hour drive back.
You can imagine. You can imagine. I lost my voice the second time on the road trip.
I actually slept really well after the Toronto show because I was very exhausted. And then, we didn't really go home right after the show. We went to this place called Nariadda in Mississauga, which had pretty good food, and it was filled with people who had attended the concert. And I actually solicited. I was telling just randomly. I was going up to people and telling them about our podcast, and got to meet a couple of cool people there too. So yeah, and then once we got home, I just crashed.
So,
by the way, I want to just throw out this quick shout out to one of our listeners, Ali Sadiq. We had coordinated and we met up at the show. And,
hey, Ali.
And he's one of those, young Junoonis that have been just listening to Junoon all his life, trying to learn how to play and whatnot. And he saw them for the first time ever.
Yeah, how young are we talking? I mean, like in his 20s, late 20s?
Probably, I think, like compared to Zawar, who was also in his 20s. So I guess these guys who were in their 20s are watching Junoon for the first time.
Yeah.
But being like super fans for a while and just not being able to see them until now. So that's really sweet.
And what a blessing that is to be able to share that, because I mean, I think for the first time I saw them live when I was around 15, and that was a formative experience. But so anyway, you didn't talk about your conversation with Sherjan, and he had some insight, because I want to give our audience proof as to why we specifically were so. Or brought the life to the party at the San Jose show. But you had a conversation.
Is just, as amazing as ever. He's such a gentle person, and somebody who, just like his parents, genuinely cares about people and likes to meet people and stuff. So I immediately after the show I texted him, and he actually came out on the stage looking for us. And as soon as I saw him, I rushed towards the stage and I was like, I said hi and whatnot. And Samina Ahmed was walking behind him, so I was like, hey, me and Amal were there, and my wife Amal, and we got to say salam to her as well. And then I asked Sherjan, like, hey, give us some comments on the vlog that we're doing. And he was game right away. He came down from the stage, and we recorded, and it's obviously in the vlog. People can see it. And this is not the first time Sherjan has spotted us in the crowd. When we were at USC, me, Umer, and Zawar, we actually stood out there too. And we met Sherjan. That's where That's when we met Sherjan for the first time. And he mentioned, like, hey, yeah, I saw you guys. You guys.
He must have been quite young back then.
He was, even younger than what he is right now.
I think his two sons were playing with Salman Ahmed, right? So they would be playing the guitars and he'd be doing the singing and stuff.
Yeah, his other son Imran actually played drums when they were opening the show with Iftiash. Sherjan was playing guitar, Imran was playing drums.
Right.
That kid has some serious chops too, man. Pretty good.
And by the way, I just want to say they're very accessible. Before the New Jersey show, Salman Ahmed had announced on his Twitter page, hey, we have some extra tickets. Get in touch with us. And I had gotten in touch with them by email, and Salman Ahmed responded by copying the entire family. And so then I found myself all of a sudden, Imran was responding to me and saying, hey, we have some tickets. Here are some tickets. And Sherjan is on that email. Samina Baji's on that email, and eventually I got some floor tickets that worked out for me. But you know, it's just, again, it's a testament to the fact that, I mean, it's all one big family. You know, in
Right.
terms of Junoonis and Junoon itself, and that's
Yeah.
really truly how they carry themselves, and I think that's what really sets them apart
Yeah.
from so many of the other
I mean,
artists that
we
are out
can confirm at least with Brian and Salman that they really care about the fans, and they, you know, have that family sort of affection towards their fans. Um, but yeah,
You
man,
know,
and
I think it's unfair to leave Ali Azmat out of it too. He definitely does care, and it's something I want to mention that I witnessed at the show. So you know, I'm going crazy with every single song. I don't think I really looked at the stage for more than 20, 30 minutes the entire show because I was just too busy, you know, running in circles, jumping around. But there was something special that I saw, and it was a really heartfelt moment that from Ali Azmat. And I think it happened after Jazba Junoon. Like during Jazba Junoon, the whole crowd just went nuts, obviously, as they do in every show. But I think there was just something special about San Jose that by the end of it, you just saw Ali Asmat standing there still with his eyes closed and just taking it all in. I think it kind of maybe humbled him, that the
no,
reaction that
there's definitely some indicators where we see Ali Azmat kind of being humbled. One of
exactly.
them is that when we posted our vlog and we shared it, Ali Azmat shared it on his page. And I don't know if,
Mhm.
who manages his page, or maybe it was his personal account, but he said that he's truly humbled by, you know, our dedication as
Yeah, and you know
fans.
everybody has different personalities, so
But I want
Yeah,
to say one
and
thing about Ali Azmat, that, you know, him in his own way, you know, he shows his personality. And you know, the thing that I talked about, the whole "fu" attitude, I think I admire that from Ali as well, and I kind of get that from him, and that's how I connect with Ali Asmat, because I think he has that anarchist sort of angst in him, and always had it with him, and he's kind of, you know, has a rejectionist you know, attitude towards things, kind of the same way that I tend to have sometimes, where I just want to, you know, like go in someplace and just start, you know, yelling and screaming at people. And well, maybe not, you know, I can't imagine that he's not going and yelling and screaming at people, but like, you know, that, you know, anti-status quo, like why are things the way they are, you know, like
yeah,
questioning
yeah,
the
very
things.
counterculture. He's got that vibe, and
Because Ali,
right,
because
he's
Salman
embodied that for a
Ahmad,
long time.
you know, Brian is that cool, loving guy. Salman Ahmad is that super passionate person. Ali Asmad is that punk rock anarchist type of guy that, you know, that I initially kind of identified with. Like, you know, this is my guy. You know, I am Ali Asmat, and you know, part of me is Ali Asmat, right? So, you know, that's why I've adored him in that way, you know, throughout the year.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and I will also say that when I saw that Ali Azmat had commented, or I think he had reposted the vlog link, yeah, well, I think all of us were incredibly humbled and awestruck by that, and you know, to the extent that our viewers or our audience have seen that vlog, we're humbled. And I will also say that, you know, I mean, I think this comes out in this podcast and it came out in the vlog. Um, we're just a bunch of guys, you know, we're just a bunch of guys out here, just hanging out and talking about what we love. And that's, you know, whether it's Junoon or Pakistani rock music, and also obviously to an extent, you know, within that wider context, but the, you know, the arts in Pakistan and Pakistani, you know, culture, and this is one way of us expressing that love and that passion. And you know, we're I mean, frankly, we're amateurs, right? And we're just doing this aside from our jobs, and but you know, we love doing it, and we love hearing from you, and you know, we've been humbled by all of the sort of the, you know, you listening, you engaging, and really commenting on our pages, and we really appreciate just you, and so keep that up, and keep that coming, and send your suggestions, send your comments, and hey, if you differ from our perspectives on anything, let us know. We want to find out from you.
Sounds good. I mean, I just want to say that, you know, we're kind of this is not our usual recording format that we're doing right now,
Yeah, this
and
is a
that's because we
special.
wanted to kind of, you know, while our whole attitude was still, you know, hot, coming right off these concerts, and um, we wanted to kind of rush into recording this, just our feedback and like share with people, and hopefully get some comments from people. So yeah, that's what we're doing. This I'm gonna
So
try to push this out as
I have a couple of questions for you both. And frankly, it's mainly because I want to make sure that I talk about this and provide my answers. So one is, what are 2 or 3 songs that are the most memorable from the show or shows that you went to? I have my 3. And then second, do we think that Junoon is going to release or is working on an album?
You
So,
start. What's your top 3 songs?
so
yeah,
go ahead. No, Ali bhai, you go ahead.
Okay. So Ghoom Charkha, definitely. And then Chale The Saath Saath,
Yaar saare mere
definitely.
naam.
Really.
Go ahead. Let's see what the last one
And
is.
last one would be Zamani Ke Andaz, and that's because like when they
Really,
made an encore with it,
right.
I was doing like in my mind I was doing kya kehte wo air flips or whatever it's called, air somersaults. In reality, I was probably just jumping up and down.
So for me, you basically just took almost all of them. So I'm gonna actually throw in Up the Jog, because they did that at the New Jersey show, and that to me is it's not something that I think that they do that often. But then again, it's been a while since I've been to some shows.
It's a deep cut. It's not a
It's a deep
standard
cut.
song.
Yeah, it is a deep cut. Sakinama, obviously, they did that at the very end. That was great. Jale The Saath, they did it both in New Jersey and San Jose, and I think you're both tired of me talking about it, but it's just, I mean, it's such a great song, and I think it's one of those songs that you don't really think about at the forefront of your mind when someone asks you like Junoon ka gana de, and you're like, okay, and you don't think about Jale The Saath. And another I would say is is also Goom. I think we really lost it at that one.
Oh,
And
yes.
we were like legitimately moshing at that one. And also I will say like a quick nod. I know this is not it's a controversial one. Either you love it or you hate it. And I don't really know where I stand on it. I think I generally did not love the song, but I have to say I really enjoyed Papu Yaar. Like I think Ali Azmat, like I don't know, I predict that that's Ali Azmat's song, and like I think he really got into it. And yeah, I really enjoyed just jamming out to that one.
Yeah, for
Let's
me,
get
definitely
three from Umer.
Goom was like the top. Obviously, you guys have already said it, but Muk Gayen, that was amazing live, the way they did it. And then Lal Meri Pat, because they were, I mean, that song obviously all the time gets people up on their feet, but
Yeah,
the violin and guitar duels that they were doing, and, it was a fresh take on an already fresh take on the song. So that was wonderful. And then the visuals that they had during Garaj Baras, right? That was beautiful, man, with the storm clouds and lightning and Garaj Baras song going on. I think that was a moment that just had to be taken in. So aside from what you guys have already said, I think these 3 were really standouts as well.
All right, good stuff,
100%.
man.
So I think we have just a little bit of time. Let's take like 3 minutes, real quick. Do you predict that Junoon will come out with an album?
They have to. This is not a prediction. I mean, this is
I
a
don't know.
matter of survival.
I just can't say because times have changed too now. Like releasing albums is not even fashion anymore. I don't know what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be a surprise, whatever
I
happens.
certainly hope they do. And my prediction is I'm gonna take a stab at it and say I think they will.
Sweet. All right.
We can only
Okay,
hope.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say one thing. Anyone who's listening and who went to concerts, whether they were in Karachi or Dubai or anywhere else in North America or the UK, let us know what your experiences were and how you connected or reconnected with Junoon. And we hope that we've been a part in some way of your journey, with reconnecting, because we certainly have been on a journey and have loved every minute of it.
All right. Share your Junooni journey.
Chalo yaar. Until next time.
Khudafis.
All right, guys.